Hi, are you there? I can't see. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Hi. I am going to put out a post. Just can you hear me? Just want to make sure. Sorry, home with kiddos took a bit. I'm just gonna put out a post because I'm the same. My girlfriend brought over her children this morning that I didn't expect. And so not only am I home with my own kiddo, but I'm also home with a few other ones and the dogs. I did not get ready. Like it was like, okay, well, it is what it is. And right now it is just me and you because whoever tried to join probably came to an empty screen while I was greeting these children. So feel free to be on video. Honestly, it's just me and you, or not be on video if that's how, it feels more comfortable for you. But there's nobody else here and there's children here as well. So it's no big deal. Um, Whatever is more comfortable for you. I am going to pop a little thing in that just says, hi, I'm on now for those who still need the link, let me know. So being that right now is just me and you, it makes it super informal and maybe more of the ability, hi, to have like,
Hello, yeah.
I
Looking
mean,
crazy.
we can totally have discussion over it where you can just literally just feel free to ask and be and, do and whatever.
I am just very new to it all, and I didn't realize again how it all kind of coincides with mood because I've heard about it in like fitness and when are you strongest and what
Right?
you should ease up on during this week. So it really is. I didn't realize again we always say it's moody. We have
Right.
but
The
what
joke is
actually
MS.
comes with the
Right.
mental health because some days I am like, I'm rocking and rolling like the 1 week of fitness, and then all of a sudden there's a slump, and I'm like, so you notice it, just in different
Notice it
phases.
physically, the way that it comes out, right? And in your
Right.
station and in stuff like that. And yes, so when I have a 6 month program, it's really expensive. It's $6,000 for the 6 months, but I do have somebody who comes in and talks about the um, physical exercise aspect of that and really breaks it down for you and helps you figure out, like, not only in general how does that work for most people, but very specifically towards, because I only allow 10 women to join that, and it's like,
Yeah.
very specific on, let's figure out by the end of the 6 months what's really working for you, for your body, and how it feels and how it's responding. So I mean, you're already ahead of the game if that's something that you know, you know what I mean, and that you've noticed, like,
Right.
start picking up on it. And on Instagram and stuff like that, you have all these people that are like, oh, I'm in my whatever week, and I'm in my
Right.
here week, they show like nobody at the gym.
Right, right, right. Well,
Menstrual.
no, I'm just starting to learn about like that phase because I didn't like realize all these different, like you said, weeks and cycles and what they're called, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But notice that again in the fitness industry, people, they say the week, prior to you're pumped up, ready to go, then all of a sudden, you're self sabotaging because you want something sweet per se, and
Yeah.
your body is just telling you other things, and
Right.
again
So
being
actually,
aware
it would be the opposite.
of it.
Flip what you just said, normally anyway.
Right.
Week after is when you should be really motivated.
Got it.
4 is when you want to allow the flow or whatever your body is telling you, because that's when your estrogen is actually going to be lower, and um your, I call it the do hormone, because your ability to desire to do, and this is where it fluctuates for people, right? Your ability to have the desire to do can be less during that luteal phase, right? So luteal phase is, we're coming up to our period, we have not gotten it yet, and this is so to get really whatever, that's the time that people actually do stuff like unaliving themselves and all of those things, right? That all
Wow.
comes up for us during luteal phase. That's PMS. That's when everything's annoying us. That's when we're having those emotions, right? And all of those thoughts. For me, and what I end up teaching everybody is that that's not actually the problem. The luteal phase is not our problem life, even though that's what we focus on. I don't know one doctor in the world that talks about the other phase being the problem, because during follicular, which is we've gotten our period, we're kind of over the achiness that came with it, but we're also starting to feel better about life and ourselves and this and that. And I always liken it to a mountain. And I say at the very beginning of that, you're climbing a mountain. So you get your period. And from that second that you get your period, you're starting your mountain climb and you're going up. And I call my program the empty net, because I say that you are, it's like wearing a backpack, right? And our backpack is all of our conscious and subconscious thoughts that have ever gone into our bodies and our heads and our lives, every single thing. So we're talking like right from baby till now. Okay. So wearing a backpack, the backpack is filled with our life. And as we're entering what we call follicular is the beginning, like your follicle drop, you know, you're got your menstrual period. And right from that second, you can already start to feel what some people call the fog lifting. And even though you might be physically uncomfortable and that might
Right.
make you irritable, it's a different kind of irritable. It's not so deep.
Right.
So sometimes I ask people, where are your feelings coming from? Do they feel like you're fucking annoyed at the surface level? Or do they
Oh, I'm
feel
just gonna
like
mute the TV because they're not even
mine are?
they're in the big brother's room hanging out.
Go get me my coffee, please. So you're in the middle of this beginning of a follicular phase, which is a beautiful phase because that's when we feel super confident. That's when we feel like we have abilities. I warn people, that's when we can get egotistical. That's when we can decide that right there, when we don't need people, we don't need as many things as we think. We can burn bridges a lot during that time, and we're not burning them because we're acting like fools. We're burning them because we're so confident. You know what? I don't think I need you. I don't need to put up with your stuff, and I don't need this, and I don't need that, because I am feeling myself.
God, and that's where okay, yep.
Time you're getting done with your period, you are in the best place that you could be mentally. So what I tell people is they have their backpack on, and if you want to draw a visual, you're going up the mountain while you have your period, and you're carrying this backpack of your life, and you get to the top of the mountain, which is like your last day of your period. And you look at yourself like, I carried that shit like a boss, right? And you feel
Right, my body just did right. I just
right.
did that through my
I think I finally got it. I think I get it now. Like whatever I was worried about, I think I get it now. I'm good. Now you're at the top of a mountain. What I try to explain to people is when you're at the top of a mountain, you can see everything. You're awe-inspired. You're happy. You've done a good job. You might be tired, but you're like, I did that shit. Not only that, you can see every opportunity miles and miles wide. So this is the moment that you might think, I have 4 businesses to start. I could do it. I have this that I could do. I could do it. I told my kid to clean his room finally, and he just listened to me because I said it like a boss. You know what I mean? Like,
I can do it. No, that really is true. That really, again, I
right.
related to fitness where I'm just like, oh, I got this, and it's like I have this great week.
Falls into
Right.
And that's where I tell people,
I can do it phase, right?
yes. And to me, I actually really name it the bite off more than I can chew phase.
Right.
Because you really feel these things and you believe in yourself and you feel super confident. And this is where I feel like the doctors get it wrong. Because they're like, well, that's good. You're all good during that time. No, I'm not. I just spent $10,000 on something that I shouldn't have spent. I just started 3 businesses. But so naturally our executive functioning goes up during that time based on how our hormones are working in us, but it also goes down once you hit the luteal phase. So the things that you thought you could do when you were in the 1 phase are not things that you can mentally and emotionally support, right? So your follicular is a do, okay? And your luteal is an emotion. How do I feel about everything that I was doing, thinking, all the things, right? So yes, luteal is where we unalive ourselves. It's where we sabotage ourselves in different ways, the more emotional ways. But it's based on usually what we have built ourselves up to think that we can do in follicular. And once you get out of that follicular, that luteal phase changes to who did I think I was? Or why did I believe in that person? And all of those self-depreciating thoughts might come in, and or depending on how you react to sorrow or anger, they could be directed outward or inward, right? Or both. So we have the luteal, which is the emotional direction of how we feel about what we were doing in follicular, right? So follicular is more of a mental, physical, I'm going to do. And then the luteal is the repercussions of that. Luteal is a magnifying glass into our soul. And sadly, it's not a magnifying glass into our soul always in a good way, right? Because for some reason, it brings up a lot of negativity, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of who did I think I was, a lot of who does this person think they are to me, a lot of I might as well isolate, or I might as well go out and drink, or I might as well substance abuse, or and we're numbing. So for the visual again,
and that's where I binge eat. I think that's the phase where I kind of binge eat and like, okay, well, since I don't have it together right now, so being very aware during that week right before the period it comes in. So I track my period just because I'm 40 and I don't want to get pregnant. And I don't want any more hormones. Yeah. But I'm, really taking those, just, tracking them for a different, again, more internal, for myself on a different level.
Right.
But and being more aware during that week, like,
yeah. So
let's get it together. You be aware of your emotions.
Yes. I was fully suicidal. And it was after an emotional period where I could look back now and I could see the pattern as far as I ever can remember. But it wasn't until it got so serious that I had no idea how to cope. And I would start feeling okay. And I'd be like, okay, we're coming out of this. We made it through. Like, we're okay. And then it would hit me again. And I was like, what the?
All right, Manuel, hold on.
Losing it. And that was when I really got into, I need to understand this better. And that's when I really got into tracking. And I really realized, okay, you know what? It's like on the 3rd or 4th of every single month that I feel as though I'm ready to unalive myself. But it's not because of that. It's because I believe in things during follicular and the truth hits me in luteal.
Right? Yep, nope.
And it was like, wow.
Right.
You're good.
Am I not reaching it? Kind of. All right, Manuel. All right. Thought I muted it, but didn't.
So for the same visual that I was seeing earlier, I tell people you get to the top of that follicular mountain and you think that you did really well. And then you have to go down the mountain on the other side if you want to complete your journey. And as you're going down the mountain, you literally have this backpack or a net, like I say, empty net.
Right.
But it's like a ship, the trawls, the big nets. So you're going down and everybody has different size holes and everybody has different size stuff in their net based on how they know how to process things, what they go through, all of that kind of stuff. Nature, nurture, I'm sure you know all about all that. So we have different size holes and we have different size, straps and all of that stuff. So now we're going down and we're thinking about how well we carried it on the way up, but now we're going down and things are falling out that we thought we carried. So in your luteal phase, there's things that are coming up for you that sometimes you didn't even know were there because they're buried in this backpack of our conscious and subconscious. And now you actually trip over something that you thought you carried or something that you thought you packed away or something that you thought you dealt with on top of all the things that are already on your mountain that you're going down, right? And not for nothing, climbing up sometimes is much easier than going down, where we're going to trip and fall and we're going to have
I just need to do a quick diaper change.
Oh my God.
You're good. Give me 1 minute. Julian, I just did this.
Yeah, dry gold. Yeah. But in here.
Let me see, where are you at?
In here.
Where you at? Where you at? Come on, put that in.
Yeah, you guys can have that.
Come on. Sit down.
It's okay. When you're done eating, you can say.
I'm on a Zoom, so you could get a shirt on or something. Nope, that's all right. Hello? I'm sorry.
So that's like the visual that I try to give to everybody is that you're already an emotional being when you're in that luteal phase. And yet now you have all this stuff that you're tripping over that maybe you thought you carried. And depending on, like I said, how you anger, you can be angry at yourself or you could be angry at others. And what I tell people is we talk about sometimes how geez, why can't I think about it? Our audio physical, like we get really sensitive. Why can't I think of it? Anyway, during that time, but it's because we have so much going on inside, and I don't think that we fully
What
understand.
causes our hypersensitivity to different mine's the sound. I know what so I can see sometimes of the month sound is really just a trigger for me.
It's just too much, right?
Too
Because
much going on in my head. You're right.
and granted, yes, if you have a lot going on, Connor,
Right.
then you're
Having
gonna
like the tablet, being extra loud, or where most sometimes I'm cool, but then there's like that phase where I'm just like everything is just loud to another extreme. Right.
Yes.
Right. The hypersensitivity of it all is extreme, and it changes my mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going on, right? And so your kid drops a fork and you're like, that's too much for me to handle. But I don't think that we are taught to, and it seems like, you have a mental health grasp on things, mental health, but we're not taught to understand that during that luteal phase, we actually do need to practice the pause. We actually do need to go within. We do need to say, thank you for bringing that up for me, self, almost as though you're talking to your outer self. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, okay. I just totally thought that I was my own idiot. Why? Right? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? There's certain things that I need to put a pin in for later. Hey, shh. There's other things that I need to say, okay, this is only coming up for me because I'm in this phase. And I just need to tell myself, no, like we're not going there. So when I do the larger program, Empty Net, it's more of understanding what are the things that actually have to be taken out of the net and emptied so that they no longer come up for us every single month.
Right.
Don't necessarily know what they are. So that's more of a life coach therapy style.
Right. Yep.
Also, the understanding the cycle enough to teach you how to track so that you fully more understand what your own personal cycle is, when things come up for you, why they come up for you, who are you in follicular, what is your version of do, and not only that, what about when you are in that follicular and you're maybe in a do but you don't know what to do? Sometimes that comes out as frustration, right? So people will be like, well, I'm frustrated in follicular and it's supposed to be my best time. Well, yeah, but if you actually dissect more and more and more of what your body's trying to tell you to do at certain times, you will understand that for me, I like doing things very slow like a turtle. So sometimes during follicular, I'm frustrated with my own self because I'm like, I have 4,000 million ideas and I can't even get one done, right?
All right. Yep.
Now that I really have understood all of this, I have that psychohomeostasis where I can say, I know what I actually will do in luteal. So I can decide do I want to start this project or not? Knowing
Right.
that I might take,
Setting
right,
yourself up.
I
Right.
might take
Yeah.
an entire week off during luteal and I might actually completely want to forget the project and throw it in the trash. In my previous times, I would have self-sabotaged by saying you shouldn't have even started. Look at you, you start stuff and you don't want to finish it, right? And I could totally
Right.
take myself out of wanting to do. Well, what that does is it creates this cycle of, well, you get back into follicular into your due phase, but you don't trust yourself anymore. So now you don't do the things. You won't be at the top of the mountain. You look down when you get there because you're like, I don't trust myself. And it creates this whole cycle of I only feel good for a couple of days a month because I'm not doing the things that would come naturally to me all the time. And that is where I really, really try to get into people with this homeostasis, because it doesn't mean you can't bite off more than you can chew during follicular. Sometimes I temper myself because I'm like, no, 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 no. We're not doing 18 projects. It's not physically possible to finish them all.
Right. Right.
But I still will sometimes bite off more than I can chew. And I allow my follicular to say, you can do this. But then I allow my luteal to say, no, you can't. And I say, this is so cool because we're taking a break. This is going to show me my fears. This is going to show me what I'm actually concerned about. And maybe that's actually stuff that I should be concerned about that I'm overconfident about in the other phase. And
Right.
it's going to bite me in the ass at some point if I don't acknowledge the things that come up for me in luteal. Right. So I definitely have gotten more into a pattern of using each phase for what it is. It's just really hard to get people to take themselves almost out of the equation, like you're two separate beings. What am I looking at in my behavior? How can I understand myself more? How can I track enough to say,
Mhm.
okay, like for me, I notice at the very same time every month, I giggle. I have a giggle day. Put it down and you can have it again later. I know that I have 2 days a month, one in each phase, that I don't care about anything because, for example, I try to clean out my house, right? I'm like a clutter hog. And I always have been, and I've never really known how to declutter. I'm really emotional about things, and especially in luteal phase, I can't get rid of anything because to me it means I'm throwing the person in the garbage that gave it to me or touched it or anything, right? So number one, I've had to work through that as part of emptying my net. Number two, I've noticed that through tracking, I have 2 days a month where I'm not emotional about anything. And I'm just like, oh my God, there's clutter in this house. And I just, oh my God, more than I care about the emotional parts. So I wait for those. I just had it yesterday. I wait for those days on a regular basis. They're pretending to be pregnant right now. And I cleaned the whole house yesterday in the way that it didn't matter if it was clean or not. I threw everything in trash bags. You know what I mean? Like it was just, I know myself enough to know, utilize the day, use the day, use your own cycle for you. So
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
might
That's
it be different
exactly.
for you? You,
Yeah, I have to learn it. So learn
yeah,
it and
yep,
understand it and then use it for you.
yeah,
Because once you use it for you, you benefit everyone else around you when that
yeah.
happens.
And I tell people it is a 6 month to
Use
1 year,
it for you.
2 year process, which is why my other thing is 6 months long, because the bottom line is because it's your conscious and your subconscious, it's
Right.
changing, it's evolving. It also has to do with your daily life. That's changing, it's evolving. 1 month, you might not even have any of these thoughts or feelings because you feel like you handled shit like a boss, or good things kept happening. You didn't even have time to think about anything else. The next month, maybe somebody passes away, or you have an argument with somebody and it filters through your body differently, right? So you really do
Right.
need minimum of 6 months of tracking in order to even get a glimpse of it. And that's where people usually won't do it. And I tell people, and I don't know if you've seen me comment, I don't want you to journal. For me personally, there is no journaling. Hey guys, sit down. And it's more along the lines of at a glance, 3 columns, and you have your date. You're going to have pervasive thought of the day, pervasive feeling of the day. Okay. Because we want to be able to look at 6 months worth of data at a glance. You can't do that if you're journaling. So you want to journal, you
Right.
go ahead and journal. But for my purposes and what I direct people to do when they come into my coaching cycle is you have to do at a glance. So pervasive thought of the day, asshole. Pervasive feeling of the day, shame. Okay, so that's what I want is snapshots.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you might have 2 or 3 things to list for that day, but still in that snapshot style.
Right.
Because sometimes we really do, like our emotions start switching halfway through the day. I can tell you when I hit ovulation. I can tell you when I hit these things. I can tell you the change happens in my body, and I know it so well now that I can just be like, oh, we have just entered. We have entered the room. You know? Um,
God.
it's beautiful and it's weird, but it saved my life because truly I got to realize I don't actually always feel that suicidal. I don't feel like a loser. I am not a loser because I feel like these things every month. It's my brain questioning, am I really good enough for what I thought I wanted to do? Right?
Right.
Did I have hope in the wrong thing? Blah, 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 blah. And all it's there to do is to teach me how to roadmap my life to actually feel good. If you're involved in mental health, you know our anxiety, our depression, our things. Yes, some of them are medical, but a lot of them are roadmaps telling us what we're not doing in our lives. What are we afraid of? Who are we afraid of letting go of? You know, what are we afraid of not doing? Our jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes the
Right.
easy way is to quit, right? So to really be able to dive into that is super important. And to use this as a roadmap is the next step beyond the tracking is to say, now, how can I make my best life out of this? How can I take it to that next step of allowing my best follicular moments to guide me for my goals? And how can I allow my worst luteal moments to tell me what I'm still afraid of? Or whatever it is, to tell me what I'm angry at, or to tell me, you know what I mean? Or show me so many things about my inner self that I'm not yet dealt with. How can I make sure that during follicular, I'm not making manic decisions based on my high, not
Mm-hmm.
on our low, because we make decisions that are manic based on our highs and our lows. How can I create that homeostasis that balances me out throughout the entire month so that I'm not disappointed in how I reacted or acted?
Right. Yep. I know it definitely.
Right? I'm going to tell you, parenting for me during luteal phase, I remember with my older child, absolutely losing it. Like absolutely losing it, but thinking I was validated because of how I felt. I was not. Like, I'm not saying don't lose it because
Oh, but
yeah,
right.
I am not a peaceful parent. I'm not one of those, for anybody who is, more power to you. It's just not me, even now, especially. But what I'm saying was different. I would fly off the handle and think that I was validated. Well, you don't. What am I saying, really? I feel right. I
Right.
feel out of control. I don't know what to do to control this. My emotions are telling me just lose it. Right? So, do I still absolutely yell and do whatever? Sure. But it's not uncontrolled the way it was based on feeling out of control. That out of control was coming from something inside of me that I didn't realize was cyclical. And I was decimating relationships. So it was really interesting. I mean, random people. I know that I have like 3 days a month where I am so critical. There's nobody on this earth that I couldn't tell was doing something wrong. Oh, well, this motherfucker. I have to remember that. Like, oh, Sammy, you need to keep your mouth shut. We need to just go in the bedroom for 3 days because
Right. Well, it's not
oh,
looking pretty.
it's not looking
Yeah.
pretty for anybody else, but it's also
Right.
ruining relationships. I'm sabotaging
Right.
relationships because right before ovulation, how am I going to feel? Oh, everything's okay.
Right. And nope, you just sabotage those relationships. Yeah.
So that's really what I try to get people to when they join me on any of the programs is this cycle homeostasis where you really truly know yourself so well. It's not going to stop everything, but I'm going to tell you, I've been doing this for almost 4 years now. In this last 1 year, I don't think I had one conversation that I would consider sabotage. Not one, not one argument, not one nothing. Because as soon as I start, I could be like, oh my goodness, I know where that's coming from. And I could say to myself, how can I deliver this differently? Can I wait a couple of days? Does this need to be delivered? Right? Do I
Right.
want what I'm asking for actually, or am I asking for it out of some weird whatever, because of where I'm at? And I learned hugely how to not navigate every situation because I'm still lost in a whole bunch of things. But I never sabotaged my business this year. I never felt like I was not good enough. I when I question self, I just can deal with it. Imposter syndrome gone. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh my God, all of that stuff, it's all gone, and not in the meaning of gone. It's gone because I don't react to it. And I feel like that's where our personal power comes from, is being
Right.
to, like I said before, take that pause away from ourselves and be like, ooh, self, what are we doing there with that? Not to a point where you're not just reacting and enjoying to life, but enough that you're like, ooh, this is not actually what I want to do. It might be today. It doesn't mean
Right.
that's what I'm going to want. How would I feel about this in a different phase once you really know yourself?
Right. Right. Right.
Mm.
So just again, it really is just knowing your, like you said, getting to
Yeah.
know yourself, and then just setting yourself up at
Mhm.
the end, really. So tracking, I think that is where I'm just gonna be just more have self-awareness on where I'm at,
Yeah.
and what tools am I using during that decline.
Right.
um and just being more aware during, like you said, that first week of, or the first week before, is just really sitting with yourself a little bit, and trying to work through some of that without.
There is a lot to journal
Yeah.
during this time. It's just not the same as tracking. And that's what I tell
Right.
people. In order to know what you need to empty out of your net, there might be some journaling if that's how you process. There might
Right.
be verbal talking to friends if that's how you process, even if it's not right then. Um, but being able to say, wow, this is what came up for me. And then being able to say, okay, why did that come up for me? How does that make me feel? Maybe I really got weirded out by touch. Is there something that happens to me? You know what I mean? Where I just need to process.
Right.
Um, there's so many multitudes of levels there because it's different for everybody based on what you've been through. It's just not the same. They talk about PMDD, and I don't know if you're familiar with PMDD. It's just a higher version of PMS where you actually do get aggressive, suicidal, all of those things. I don't believe that there is a PMDD. I believe that it's all based on what I just said.
Right.
They say that they don't know how to deal with PMDD. They don't know how to diagnose PMDD other than just whatever you're dealing with. They don't know how to fix it. They give hysterectomies. They give birth control. They give all of these things. And the top doctor in the entire world, his method of fixing it is figuring out how to get a woman not to cycle. And yet he said, once we get a woman not to cycle through hysterectomy or hormone replacement, blah, 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 we still have the exact same results as placebo. And I try to explain on some of these webinars, but I stopped trying to explain because I'm like, no, this is my thing. And if I grow, I don't want everybody else already talking about what I'm talking about.
Right. Right.
I think the reason that it matches placebo is because it's all up here. It's how we filter things. It's how we deal with things. It's, can we understand ourselves this cycle enough to create
Right.
a basis that doesn't create sabotage at every single part of the cycle because we're not doing what we should be doing? Have we gotten to a point where we are so overwhelmed, or we've had a trauma that's so big that we can't process it ourselves, and it comes up for us again and again and again and again and again, and we are sitting here just losing ourselves in it, but thinking that it's
Right.
ourselves? No. Now, can everybody do that? No, everybody cannot, is not going to be able to work.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's very difficult. People get
Right.
stuck and they get paralyzed in
Absolutely.
it, and so that's that it. But it definitely has to be, how do you work through
Right.
that when
So
and
can
seeing
everybody
when it
do
comes
it?
on hard. So you need to know your, yeah.
Mhm. Does everybody even want to believe what I have to say? No, a lot of them would rather have just a diagnosis of PMDD. This is why I am the way I am. It's
Right.
because of a diagnosis, period. Right. And that's okay too. Whatever you need to survive is whatever anybody needs to survive. Right. Whatever anybody needs to believe in. I'm not here to tell them, but my own belief is that PMDD is not an actual physical disease. That's why they have never been able to make it an actual physical disease. It just got an ICD-9 code recently, or whatever they're on now, 11, 13, whatever. And that's why they're still trying to figure it out as far as making women not cycle or
Yeah, and
whatever.
I just yeah, I was just looking that up when I signed up. I'm like, what am I really giving myself? Because I'm like, I don't know. I heard it through, So, but that is one of it says PMS and then PMDD, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
didn't even go that far into that. I'm
Yeah.
like, I was just reading the basics, the phases and things of that nature. But that one, yeah. Again, I think it's a full body onset. It can't just take away that part and be like, okay, now you're fixed.
My
Um,
heart breaks because I joined when I was feeling all of these things. And when I very first started this process, I just assumed I had PMDD. I was like, oh my God, I finally have an answer why I'm cyclically like this. It's PMDD. I went to different counselors. One, oh, maybe you're bipolar, seeing as you feel so extremely blah, 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 blah.
mhm.
Then I was like, oh my God, it's not bipolar, it's PMDD. And it really took all years to say no, because as soon as I work through it, all of a sudden it's gone.
Right,
Right.
right.
It's because I was carrying stuff that was too heavy for me to carry. Sometimes what happens to us when we're a baby might be too heavy for us to carry. So it's like that from the time we're born. Right.
Oh yeah, you're born into trauma. Yeah, definitely.
You're a uterine. What I say is if you're a uterine based woman, there is so much to unpack that sometimes it's too much. And you do have to go through other channels and you have to figure out lots of modalities in order to just stay alive, you know?
Hold on.
Yeah. Go check on your brother and tell him I'll be a minute. Um, yeah. So that essentially concludes the information that I was giving out
Okay,
today.
no, I appreciate it because I'm just again, as you get older, and I'm just like I said, I track for different other reasons,
Yeah.
but definitely just notice like as just being aware of as you're presenting it on your Facebook. I'm just like, oh, okay, hold on. There might be more to really tracking, emotionally, mentally, even more than physical. During this time. Again, just the whole self awareness. I would love to be more self aware because I noticed like, oh, during that week, I'm just really bad with feeling just sitting in my emotions and why am I like that? And I want to binge eat. So again, that comes along with being the physical. I
Yeah.
want to look so my physical being and energy. I need to be more aware of what my body is really going through
Mhm.
during that time. Um, and how to processing that stuff, what's coming out my book bag my backpack during that time, and how do I process it, what else do I need to pull out to
Yep.
go along with that to help guide me through that. So again, I'm more of I learn as I go, but
Oh, that's so
this is
funny.
what I did. I just do it by
Yeah,
accident.
it's because you did that. If you have your settings turned on a certain way, I don't think mine does. I'm on the computer, but my phone does.
Oh, I didn't even know I didn't know that was the case, but okay. That's funny. All right. So it gave me a thumbs up. Like, yeah, I gave myself a thumbs
That's
up
right.
there.
Exactly. Metaphorical high five. Absolutely. Really funny.
That was funny. No, so I'm just taking it and soaking it in and learning what I can at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. I mean, that's really all we can do
Right.
is I do have two groups. Like I said, the one of them's kind of crazy expensive and more so for people who really need help along
Right.
that
Right. Yeah.
The other one is $7 a month, and it's just a peer support, talk about it, figure out how to help each other get through situations out of the net and for things that understand. So if you're ever interested in that, feel free to let me know. That one is brand new. It only has 10 people in it. But it's something
No, that
like,
is better. Again, that is where I feel like, again, as like I just switch modes with different friendships. I kind of am navigating through a lot of this alone. So I'm just like,
yeah.
all
Yeah.
right, and that's okay. And I'm doing it for me anyway. So with or without that, I need to do this for myself, my children, my family. Um,
It made
so
me a completely different woman. I can't say enough what I mean, and I've taken mindfulness classes and I've done life
right.
coach classes and I've done so many of those things. None of them did what this did. None of them. Because I did not understand the fluctuation enough. It's just snow, baby. And that was, I think, the biggest change for me overall, that made everything come together, that made me decide what friendships I value. I mean, everything. It changed everything.
Well, right. No, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Go ahead, do that one. So that was like a really big deal for me overall. Go ahead, put your other foot in. And I don't know. That's all I can say about it is that going through it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
Oh,
a little bit more research on my own, and if I come to you for, but I might be interested in that that $7, just the peer group type of thing.
yeah.
I'm just navigating some of, you know, this with people and other women who are, wanting to navigate it. It's different. You can't force everyone to
Oh, you can't.
want to navigate some of these things
Yep. And
for
like I said, it
themselves.
actually brings up a lot for people that sometimes people don't want to be brought up,
Right.
right? They're like,
Right.
I'll just leave things the way they are because I'm good.
Right.
And that's
Right.
fine too. But for me, I got to a point where I needed to do it. And it was the biggest life-changing thing that I ever did. It really did change. So I mean, it changed the way I ran businesses. It changed everything. And I didn't know that that was going to happen. Like I didn't know the expansion that was going to happen because of that. I didn't know my oldest son is 24. I didn't know that I this year repaired my entire relationship with him because I was able to say, I know who I was and I know how I reacted
Mhm.
and I know why now, but it was wrong. Right. And I invalidated emotions when I was feeling over emotional. I dismissed you or I did these things, you know what I mean? Or
Right. Yep. Yep.
I was
Yep.
so excited during follicular that I decided we were going and doing no matter how you felt.
Right.
Right. And yes, as parents, we have to make the choices and we have to make the decisions. But on the other hand, man, was I dismissive of everything else because I was so wrapped up in how I was feeling that day.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. Sometimes, yeah.
So it's
Our
really
children.
interesting,
Yeah.
really a completely different parent, completely different person, completely different business.
Yeah, no,
Ego,
I'm sure this could be life change. This is life changing work.
yeah,
As soon as you get to know your, again, it just allows you to, again, this is just a physical meaning body, but spiritually you connect all of that together. I can see myself being on a whole another, just wanting to be on a different level with myself,
yeah.
with other people, things of that nature.
Mhm.
um but I can, as I take time to really just try to learn more, I'm just like, this is
Eventually,
next level for yourself.
I get a course and certify people, including I, I've even talked to plenty and plenty of psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, and therapists, right? And I ask them, when your female patients come to you and they say that they're feeling some kind of way, immediately I was told depression or anxiety or bipolar or blah, 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 blah. I don't think that one time, not, I know for a fact, not one time was I asked, have you tracked your cycle? Not one time. So
Right.
every couple of years, I'd be like, what? I know something's going on. This can't be normal. right?
Right. No, and I'm just thinking with my clients, they go on a, you go in on a week that you're off, you can be telling those counselors something that you
Exactly.
really shouldn't, and then there goes your recommended treatment, and you have
It's
to really
in
see
your
the.
heart. So when I do talk to people like that, and maybe you can,
Wow.
I say, can you do me a favor and can you write them? I forget what it is, disruptive disorder or something where
Right.
it means that
Adjustment, something else that's
yeah,
right.
and you can do that for 4 months. I believe that that's what it is, 4 months.
Right.
During that 4 months, get your person to track. While they're tracking, help them work through what they're doing. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm asking
Right.
all therapists to do. So there's like, I really need to get better at social media because I feel like that's one of the hugest things. And I transfer back and forth between really just wanting the information out there so that it can help a lot of people, but also trying to figure out how can I
How do I, yeah,
how do
keep
I
some from my, yeah,
monetize myself out of
yeah.
that.
Right. Yep. How do you get your benefit
So,
from? Yeah.
yeah. So I mean that's a little bit tough for me. I do feel like sometimes I could err on the side of delivering the information because people really are losing jobs over this or being suicidal over this and stuff like that. And on the other hand,
Right.
like, man, darn it.
Right.
It's really corny.
No, that it's beneficial. I'm just thinking, on the wider aspect, when I think of, my own work, my clients, and how it affects then, so it really is. Or if I'm going in doing a home visit on the wrong day, yeah, I
Right.
might not catch the,
Might not. And
so
so
really just
how do
taking
we
in
bring that to
even
our
other
patients?
people.
Like, hey, I
Right.
know you're feeling some kind of way, but just maybe check in with where you are in your cycle. That's all I say to people. Even, Buffalo Mom Squad and places like that, people talk about their feelings and being up in their emotions. And my always response, have you checked in with your cycle? Like, I know that it sounds really corny, but have you been tracking long enough to check in with your cycle? The answer is always no.
All right, I appreciate it. They're both over here now.
That's okay. Can
I
you hear this one's
appreciate it, even
crying?
if I was the only one. I enjoyed the one on one that we got to,
Yeah.
have. Um, Let me know when we're doing our next meeting or dinner somewhere.
I know. I was thinking about
It's,
trying something at the end of this month. The snow's been crazy. I don't know what to
oh,
plan.
I know. I'm like, it's yeah, day 6 now, are we on? It's been a long week.
Yeah. I wanted to go to Mizuto Chow's,
Where's that at?
the pink staircase where everybody takes the
Oh, okay, got it. Downtown, yeah.
yeah. So I thought
Let us put that event out there. I definitely need a girls' night.
it's the axe throwing. Do you know what I'm talking about? The axe throwing
Yeah,
next door. So I thought I'll put the axe throwing place out there. People who can afford it can go. Other
yeah.
just meet up at Mizuto Chow's, grab $5 worth of quarters, play some of the games. I don't know if you've been there.
I haven't, but I've seen people
Food.
post all the time.
Yeah, so we'll see. The only thing is that I was not gonna do it on a Wednesday. So I was trying to think, what can I do on a Wednesday?
Got it. All right. Yep.
Honest, and tell me what you think. I really, really, really want to do something a little bit more intimate, almost like a goal setting or something along those lines, like saying, okay, for this Wednesday, I just want to sit down with people, talk about our goals. But it's also not
Again, and it might be a different, again, like you said, you have to find your people with, you have to find your people. I would say, yeah, definitely pick like whatever, like, oh, well, this group is open to 10 or even small, depending on what it is. And
okay, that's
you,
not
you get,
inclusive, Sam, but it's really
right.
hard to run that on my own.
Yeah.
It's a lot to do. I'm actually going to put a call out I would love to have 4 more people to be involved, thinking of things to do. And not only that, it's not just thinking of things to do. You have to actually
Be intentional about what is the purpose. Yeah.
like to remind other people. I could be
Right.
intentional, but I'll show up alone.
Right.
People will say that they're going to come and then they won't.
Right.
So anyway, so that's kind of what I've been with that.
Yeah, I might be one of those. I might, want to just, what is the next step? Because I have had a couple of those with Mercy. Like, again, there's a couple of people who are like reaching out, all that like want to, and I'm like, oh my goodness, but this weather's been much, crazy.
Yeah.
And I guess they see what I post or they see my content. They ask to be my friend. And they're like, okay, yeah, you look like you could be one of my people, you
Yeah.
know. I'm glad you posted that one, that whole boundary setting and had to bump somebody. I think I know who it was. I think I was a sucker and sent something.
I
But
am, and I don't mind. That's fine. I know.
right, and
are
I don't
asking
mind. But
for
then
things.
it became
But come on now.
again, and then I need a ride for this, and I'm just like, wait, hold on. This is not what
Right.
I don't
I'm
want
not
another
here to run
client.
your
You
life,
know,
girl. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
want
your
another
mama.
client. Right. I don't want another client. I want somebody that we can be reciprocated at this point in life.
Yeah. So
But,
hopefully coming
yeah,
up, I
here
can
you
get
go.
other people
But yeah,
involved. I need other
it's
people
just
involved. I
setting
need
those boundaries. Right.
to say, hey, not only am I hosting this event, but I actually expect some of you people in here that joined to come.
Right.
Like, I know when I post something, I write it. Don't you dare tell me yes and then don't show up, because I'll
Right.
because we're here to be intentional. You joined the group for a reason.
Right. If you wanted to look for events, go on to other events pages. That makes no sense to me.
But you're not going to be another sister in this group because you decided
Right.
you're going to flake all the time. Now, once in a while, I get it. You just
Right.
tell somebody you're going to be there, you should be there.
Right.
So anyway,
Definitely get it. I again, I'm very new still. And like you said, finding the joy and finding your people and I got to take my time. I have kids. Some of them are in different levels, so you have to figure out,
yes.
you know, where you're at with people as they're on different phases.
I have to tell people all the time, you need to slow your roll, because they get in and then they'll be like, well, I tried to hang out with this person 4 times this week and they didn't like me anymore. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, you
I'm
actually,
like, no, I can't. I got kids.
we don't put our eggs in the baskets like that. This is just to find joy.
Right.
Find some joy. Then figure out who you had that joy with. That's all.
And I'll throw events out and I'll still show up alone.
I tell
You know, it's like,
yeah,
hey,
I do
I'm going.
that.
If you want
I
to,
don't
then hey, come on, join me.
anything that I don't want to do for myself. So if it's a restaurant, it's because I'll eat there alone.
Right. I get it. Definitely. But hopefully I'll see you in person soon. Sooner or later. But thank you. I know I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. You too.
All right, have a good one. Stay warm. Hopefully the snow stops, right? All right, you want to say bye? Say bye.
Bye.
All right, bye, Sam. All right.